Hello, friends. Today, I want to tell you an incredible story from the Bible, found in 2 Kings, chapter 5. It's a story about a man named Naaman and how his life changed forever when he learned to trust in God. So, listen closely. Many years ago, there was a country called Syria. This country had a powerful army, and its commander was a brave and strong man named Naaman. Everyone in Syria knew who Naaman was. He was famous for winning many battles for his king and being a very respected leader. But even though he was strong and admired, Naaman had a big problem. He had leprosy. What is leprosy? Well, it's a serious disease that affects the skin and nerves. People with leprosy were often rejected by society because the disease was seen as something terrible and contagious. Imagine how hard it must have been for Naaman. Despite his fame, power, and wealth, he couldn't find a cure for his disease. Surely, many nights he felt lonely and hopeless. But here's where the interesting part of the story begins. In Naaman's house lived an Israelite girl. She wasn't there by choice. She had been taken as a slave from her homeland, Israel. Even though she was far from home and surrounded by strangers, this girl had something very special: faith in God. One day, seeing how sad Naaman was, she said to his wife, "If only my master would go to see the prophet who is in Samaria, he could heal him of his leprosy." Isn't it amazing how this little girl had the courage to speak up? She could have stayed quiet, but she didn't. She believed that God could perform a miracle. When Naaman heard this, something sparked in his heart. What if there really was a cure for him? With renewed hope, he went to talk to the king of Syria. The king, wanting to help his brave commander, gave him a letter addressed to the king of Israel, saying, "Please cure my servant Naaman." Naaman didn't go alone. He brought many gifts with him: gold, silver, and fine clothing, as a way of showing his gratitude. When Naaman arrived in Israel and gave the letter to the king became very frightened. He said, "Am I God, that I can heal this man?" The king of Israel didn't know what to do. But the prophet Elisha, a man who trusted completely in God, heard what was happening and sent a message to the king. "Send Naaman to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." Naaman, with all his servants, arrived at Elisha's house. Imagine Naaman, a powerful man, used to being honored and respected. He expected Elisha to come out to greet him, perhaps with impressive words or some grand ritual. But, to Naaman's surprise, Elisha didn't even come out of his house. Instead, he sent a messenger with this message: "Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River, and your skin will be healed." Naaman couldn't believe what he was hearing. He was furious. He thought, "That's it? He didn't even come out to see me. And why should I wash in the Jordan River? We have much better rivers in Syria." He was so angry that he was about to go home without following the prophet's instructions. But his servants, who knew him well, approached him and said, "Master, if the prophet had asked you to do something difficult, wouldn't you have done it? So why not do something as simple as washing in the river?" Those words made Naaman think. He decided to give it a try. When he reached the Jordan River, Naaman dipped himself in the water. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing seemed to change. 4, 5, 6 times. He still had leprosy. But when he dipped himself the 7th time and came out of the water, his skin was completely healed. It was smooth like the skin of a child. The miracle had happened. Naaman was so excited he could hardly believe it. Immediately, Naaman went back to Elisha's house to thank him. He said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel." He wanted to give Elisha the gifts he had brought, but the prophet refused to accept them. Elisha wanted Naaman to understand that the healing came from God, not from him. Naaman was so grateful that he made a very important decision. He said, "From now on, I will not worship any other gods, only the Lord." Even though he returned to Syria, his heart had been changed forever. Naaman was no longer just a brave commander. He was also a man filled with faith in the one true God.